Bertrand Arthur William Russell, also known as Bertrand Russell, is one of the prominent British polymaths and philosophers of the 20th century. He descended from a prominent and aristocratic ancestry. Bertrand's father, Viscount Amberley, is the son of former British Prime Minister John Russell, while his mother, Catherine Louisa, also belonged to a dominant lineage. He has two siblings, Frank and Rachel, who are both older than him. Despite having a prominent family, their family experienced a miserable life. His mother died due to diphtheria in 1874, and after a short period of time, the death in his family was followed by Rachel, and soon his father due to bronchitis in 1876. Bertrand and his brother Frank were orphaned at a very young age. Their grandmother, known as Countess Russell, was the one who took care of them. Bertrand Russell did not have a joyful childhood. He was educated at home and isolated from other children. He spent most of his days with books in the library of his grandfather rather than enjoying his youth with people of his age. Bertrand was imprisoned by agony and sorrow. He even thought of ending his own life most of the time. It is the one that brought him to the light on how to rebuild and make his life meaningful. Bertrand found love in studying mathematics, and it kept him sane from the many thoughts he had in mind because of loneliness. At the age of 11, the turning point of his life came when his older brother Frank introduced Euclid to him, the great Greek mathematician. Bertrand went to Trinity College, Cambridge to enrich his mathematics skills. He met several people that led him to become more fascinated in the field of mathematics, and at the same time in philosophy. In 1893, he took an academic degree in mathematics, and it was followed by an achievement in the moral science tripos in 1894. Eventually, he also became a professor in Trinity College. He also became a lecturer in other universities such as University of California and City College of New York. Bertrand Russell is also well known for being a forthright pacifist. Russell was hostile even before the declaration of World War I. He participated in the pacifist activities as he condemned this war as a threat to the rights and freedom of every individual. And he actually experienced being convicted and imprisoned for engaging in anti-war activities.
Bertrand Russell became one of the leading philosophers and prominent logicians due to his critical commitments to the philosophy of mathematics, logic, and epistemology. One of his works is The Principles of Mathematics in 1903. Russell has two main purposes, which is to establish two very important propositions. First is, all pure mathematics deals only with the terms that can be defined by a very few numbers of fundamental logical concepts, and all propositions that can be defined by a very few numbers of fundamental logical principles. And a very known contribution, Russell's paradox. This theoretic paradox contradicts the naive set theory. Russell considers the set of all sets that are not members of themselves. For this reason, if an existing set emerges as an element of the set, if and only if it is not an element of the set. Barber paradox is an effective illustration of the derivation of Russell's paradox. Imagine a city divided into two, the one who shaved by the barbers and the one who shaved themselves. Since the barber just shaved the individuals who don't shave himself, he falls into the contradiction that he can shave himself. The paradox is formed in line with the certainty that some members are set but others are not. Naive set theory is a set of perceptible collections, and a counterexample of Russell's paradox. So from Russell's paradox, let us denote such a set of all sets by R. Suppose that R is not a member of itself. Then by definition of R, it must contain itself. That is, R must be a member of itself. Suppose now that R is a member of itself, then by definition of R, it must not belong to itself. That is, R must not be a member of itself, and there is a contradiction in the two cases. Another known work of Bertrand is the theory of types. Russell's theory of type can settle the paradoxes by explaining the contrast among articles and meta-languages. Principia Mathematica is another notable work of Bertrand Russell with Alfred North Whitehead. It is issued in 3 volumes in the years 1910, 1912, and 1913. The first volume was co-authored by Whitehead, while the latter 2 volumes were almost entirely Russell's work. The motivation behind this aspiring study was just an endeavor to get all mathematics from simply logical axioms, staying away from the paradoxes and inconsistency found in Frick's work on set theory. Russell's life had many ups and downs. After being married 4 times, he finally found happiness with Edith, with whom he spent the rest of his life. In addition to mathematics and logic, Russell's philosophy covered a wide range of topics, including epistemology, metaphysics, philosophy of mind, philosophy of science, philosophy of language, and ethics. He even published numerous books on logic, theory of knowledge, and a variety of other subjects. Over his life, he utilized mathematics to prove philosophical perspectives.
His life, his youth, may not be great. He experienced a lot of misfortunes and hardship.
But then, he was able to give great contributions in many fields that is worth in recognizing and honored by the future generations.
Russell Bertrand was indeed a prominent figure of the 20th century.
The diversity of his mind, his passion, and numerous works were able to inspire others and benefit the society.
The time and effort he poured all through the years was a glorious success. Russell's life and legacy are valuable to anyone with significant intellectual interests, regardless of what they are.